Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football, Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me is our host, Logan Landers, to talk about Sam Cosmi, a draft pick coming out of the University of Texas. How's it going, Logan?
Jeremiah, it's another beautiful Monday outside, my man. Ready to talk some great draft profile, draft prospects with you. As usual on Mondays, we've done this for quite a while now. And man, we've been doing pretty good with our draft picks in the past. Be sure if you like those, go check those out, by the way. Shameless plug. I'm ready to talk Sam Cosmi with you, man. And this guy's really special, and I'm ready to see what he's going to do in the NFL.
Awesome, man. Well, without further ado, I'm going to let you run on into this old Texan.
Let's do it. So like you said, good old Texan coming out of Texas. His hometown was in Humble, Texas, so he stayed home. He was down there doing great things at Texas for the Longhorns. And, man, this guy's been projected as maybe the number 2 or number 3 best offensive lineman coming into this draft. Penei Sewell, who me and my guy Vincent Turner did a video on this last week, is obviously going to be the number 1 pick. Man, there's a stat that Vincent brought up about him. 0 penalties his whole career at Oregon. So that guy's obviously going number 1. There's no way that he ain't going number 1. But, man, Sam Cosmi is no slouch by any means. So, obviously, he's in Texas, which is a historical program in college football. And, man, he left his mark there on the offensive line. Now, look, offensive lineman, you're not going to find the sexy stats. You're not going to be seeing 3,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, nothing like that. Now, these guys are doing all the dirty work in the trenches, making sure that those quarterbacks get those stats up and making sure those running backs look good as well. So Cosmi was a heck of a player for the Longhorns, man. He played in 35 career games at Texas, and man, he was racking up accolades in terms of looking like he was the best offensive lineman in his division for the Big 12. He didn't play too much this 2020 season with all the COVID stuff happening and whatnot, and who can blame him, honestly? He knew he was going to get drafted high, and what's the point of playing? Once Texas got knocked out of bowl eligibility, he decided to just forego the rest of the season and say, you know what, I'm going to just train, I'm going to get home, I'm going to work out, and I'm going to bulk up to the NFL draft. And, hey, I don't blame him. Now, he is a very talented young man, of course, as I've said before, and I don't know, and he's got a lot of options. A lot of teams are looking over this guy, and at 6'7", 309 pounds, he actually is looking pretty good because the 6'7" frame is always nice to see. You always like to see a little bit of a taller offensive lineman. But what I really enjoy is the 309. Now, normally you see offensive linemen be a little bit heavier, and that might work in Cosmi's favor. That means he can go to the NFL where they have the best of the best in terms of nutritionists, trainers, whatever else. And that means they can put bulk and mass on him, get him some more strength, and that way he can really compete with some of those amazing defensive tackles and amazing, guys on the defensive end in the NFL that are going to be running him down, trying to get to the quarterback. So he does have a little bit of work to do. He's going to bulk up a little bit. And as you can see, if you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, he's already got a good bit of muscle to him already. He's looking good. He's looking toned, and he's looking defined for an offensive lineman, which is what you like to see. Now, he's primarily known as a run blocker, but he can also get it done in the passing game as well. He likes doing run. He's a very good run blocker, and that's his specialty. Like I said, he's primarily been used as a left tackle. He played 21 games there, but he also had some experience at the right tackle position as well, where he played 14 games in his career at Texas. So it looks like he is going to be drafted as a left tackle, but he does have experience over on the other side as well. So that makes him versatile, and that can make him, get some more work in, and that might help him out with his draft stock to show that he has versatility. So I do like that Cosmi has had experience on both sides of the ball on the offensive line. Now, look, this guy is very special. I think that he is going to be a very good draft pick for whatever team picks him up, Jeremiah. But I like we usually do with these draft profiles recently, I've been thinking of 3 teams who might take these guys. And so the 3 teams that I've got out there, and listeners, if you're watching, please drop a comment and see what team you want Sam Cosmi to go to. But the 3 teams that I've been looking around, I've been looking at all the draft boards, I've been looking at all the mock drafts, and the 3 teams that they've got this guy going to is the Jacksonville Jaguars, which, hey, I don't blame them. They got Trevor Lawrence coming, and they got to have a stacked offensive line to have, someone to protect their franchise quarterback. I mean, we saw with Joe Burrow this past season, he was the number one pick coming off of a Heisman year, and he had, outstanding stats in college. But then in the NFL, he got hurt. He hurt his leg because the offensive line couldn't protect him. So you really got to have a solid O lineman, especially at the left tackle too, because that's where the blind side is for the majority of quarterbacks. And so you got to have someone to protect your franchise quarterback, because they're not going to be seeing that guy coming down on them from behind at 275 pounds, all muscle, coming to get a sack and get the ball out of your hands. So very coveted position is the left tackle, and Sam Cosmi's got some work to do there, man. So the Jags will be a great pick, I think. The Jaguars have a lot of picks in this draft as well. I think they have 2 or 3 in the first round, so they could definitely take Sam as a later pick. I know they have, I think, a pick in the 10s and 20s, so they could easily scoop him up there. Another team I think that might go with this young man is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, look, Ben Roethlisberger isn't going to be there forever. He is aging, and the Steelers are running out of time. Their window's getting smaller and smaller. Alejandro Villanueva, who's been their star offensive lineman for years on years now, looking like he might walk. He might go to a different team in free agency. Why not get someone else to try and replace him in the NFL draft with Mr. Cosmi here? They have a little bit of time left with their current roster before they have to turn over and probably have to rebuild, honestly, in the next couple of years. And so why not already go ahead and solidify your offensive line? And that's why I think Cosmi would work out well with the Steelers. With Ben Roethlisberger going for maybe another year or two, we'll have to see. And then, of course, they got James Conner in the backfield, who is, if he's on the field and if he's healthy, can be a really good running back for the Steelers. But another team I think is a team that we're going to be talking about a lot on the show this week in particular is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In the Super Bowl right now, they're really playing in a little bit. But, man, the Buccaneers already have a great offensive line. But if they really need a little bit of help at their left tackle position. So if they could get Cosmi in a kind of a later pick, because that's what it's going to be since they are in the Super Bowl, if he might drop a little bit, man, that might really solidify them as one of the top offensive lines in football. So those are my 3 teams. If you're listening to us, be sure to drop a comment and see if you like those teams, or, hey, if you have your own team that you think he might go to, then, hey, you never know. We'll have to see where Mr. Cosmi goes. But overall, I do think that this man, who is 6'7", 309, has plenty of room to bulk up and get even faster and stronger. Already a really good run blocker. Hey, we'll have to see. So his pass blocking is going to improve as well. And I'm ready to see how this guy's going to do. Like I always say with offensive linemen, Jeremiah, sometimes it's better that you don't hear their names on Sunday, unless they're getting a nice pancake or something like that. So hopefully Sam Cosmi has a really good career in the NFL, and I'm looking forward to see where this young man out of Texas will be drafted.
Well, everybody watching or listening on our podcast, make sure what you think. Do you think that Mr. Cosmi might go to Jacksonville Jaguars, the Pittsburgh Steelers, or maybe even Tampa Bay Buccaneers? So make sure to drop us a comment on YouTube, over on Twitch, Facebook, or even through our podcast. I'm pretty sure that you can send us a message there. So contact us that way, or just find our email and send us a message. And
there you go.
Just while we're on that tip, don't forget, we also have a great website, 100 Yards of Football, sportstalkradio.com. Super easy to remember. So everybody who's watching it, thank you so much. And thank you, Logan. That was a very in-depth analysis. And this position does not, an offensive tackle, it does not get maybe the credit it needs in the in-depth analysis that it gets versus a lot of quarterbacks and things like that. We've been talking about that a lot. So thank you so much for that in-depth analysis. For everybody else watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, make sure that you head over to our podcast as well over at 100 Yards of Football. And I like to do the Spotify one. Spotify is my favorite. Where do you listen at, Logan?
I prefer the Spotify as well. But, hey, there's no shame in that as well. We also have a nice job over there at Apple Podcasts as well, if you prefer that. But I think Spotify for me is a little bit more better because it's more available on more platforms, like on Androids and stuff like that. So that's why I prefer the Spotify a little bit more. But, hey, all love to Apple as well for putting our show on there.
Oh, yeah, and I'll show you one more trick that I just learned here. If you go to your device, and you're like, hey, Google, play 100 Yards of Football. Can you hear that?
2021 with Logan and Jeremiah on Google Podcasts.
Oh, did it work?
Yeah, I could hear it a little bit. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Hey Google, play at 8. Oh, sorry, I messed that up. Anyway, so you can just go to your device and go and say, "Hey Google, play 100 Yards of Football podcast," and it'll ask you if you want to play it over on Google Podcast or if you want to play it on Spotify, and it'll get you all set up so you can listen to 100 Yards of Football anytime you want from your home device. So everybody go try that out, see if that works for you, and comment in there and tell me if that actually works. So thank you guys so much for watching. I am the producer, Jeremiah Long, and you've been listening to Logan Landers give us a great in-depth analysis of Sam Cosmi, the offensive lineman, offensive tackle from University of Texas. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in just another minute for another great draft profile. All right.